Hi, my name is Tim Greenwood. I'm a storyteller with Storytelling Aurelia, and I'm sharing a story today by Stephen Leacock called The Awful Fate of Melpomenus Jones. There are some people that have the hardest time in getting away after they visit people for supper or the evening. The saddest case I think I ever heard of was of my poor friend Melpomenus Jones. Such a dear young man, a curate. He had the hardest time in just leaving. He was too modest to tell a lie and too religious to wish to appear rude. Well, it so happened that he went to visit some friends on the very first day of his summer vacation. He had 6 weeks ahead of him, absolutely nothing to do or planned. So he went to visit and sat down and drank 2 cups of tea and chatted for a while. And then he braced himself for the effort. Well, Oh, you're not thinking of leaving, said his host. I was hoping you could stay longer. You can stay, can't you? Jones was always truthful. Well, yes, I can, he said. Well, then please do. So he stayed. He drank 11 cups of tea. It started to get dark. He got himself ready again. Well, I think it's time. Oh, his host said, I was hoping that you could stay for supper. My husband would be delighted if you'd stay. You can stay, can't you? Well, yes, I can, he said. And so he stayed, sitting there just miserable, full of tea. Well, Papa came home and they had supper, and Jones sat through the meal, silent and steely that he would get away at 8:30. The family wondered what was going on with Jones. And afterwards, Mama took him aside to show him some photos from the family album. He saw a photo of Mama's brother and his little child, an awful interesting photo of Papa's uncle's friend in his Bengal uniform, and an awfully wicked one of Papa dressed as the devil for a fancy ball. By 8:30, he had seen 79 photos. Jones stood up. Well, I think I need to go, he pleaded. What? The family said. It's only 8:30. Do you have anything to do? No, he said, and he muttered something about staying for 6 weeks. Well, at that point, the youngest child had hidden Jones's hat, so Papa said he really needed to stay for a pipe and a chat. Papa had the pipe and gave Jones the chat. And still Jones stayed. He just couldn't get up the nerve to leave. And Papa began to become tired with Jones. And to coax him on, he said, I guess we'll have to put you up for the night then. Jones mistook his meaning and with tears in his eyes, thanked Papa. Well, Papa sent him up in the spare room and walked away, swearing mightily underneath his breath. In the morning, after breakfast, Papa went to work in the city, and Jones stayed at home. Broken-hearted, his nerve utterly gone, playing with the baby. He wanted to leave, but he just couldn't work up the nerve to do it. When Papa came home after work and found Jones still there, he was chagrined. Hoping that Jones would get the message, he said, well now, I guess we'll have to start charging you room and board now. Jones, with tears in his eyes, accepted the offer and paid a month's rent in advance. Well, in the days to follow, Jones spent all of his time in the living room, drinking tea and looking at pictures from the photo album. He would gaze at pictures of Papa's uncle's friend in his Bengal uniform and swear at it. He was moody and uncommunicative. Finally, the crash came. He came down with a raging fever and he was carried upstairs. The illness that followed was agony. He couldn't recognize anyone, not even Papa's uncle's friend in his Bengal uniform. Finally, after a month of the worst agony, he passed away on the last day of his summer vacation. They say that in his last moment, he sat up in his bed, and with a beautiful smile on his face, he said, "Well, I really must go now. The angels are calling me. Good afternoon." And the rushing of his spirit from its prison house was as rapid as a hunted cat passing over a garden fence.